A Christmas Carol is without question one of my favourite stories, and I love watching and admittedly comparing films that are contemporary films that are heavily inspired by Dickens' A Christmas Carol, but where it's all done in a contemporary setting. And this is certainly one of the reasons why I was drawn to the 2000 film A Diva's Christmas Carol. In fact, it was the only reason I was drawn to it. I have to say I'm really impressed with it for numerous reasons. So this was directed by Robert Schenkman, also written Richard Schenkman, also written by Schenkman, and stars Vanessa Williams as Ebony Scrooge. Quite interesting that they didn't name her Carol, and I say that because usually with these films the protagonist tends to be called Carol. I'm kind of glad that they took a different approach with that, but there are certain names that are very much blatant. We have Bob Cratchett, Marli Jacob, which I loved, as of course Jacob Marley, and there's even a Tiny Tim character. So compared to other ones that are inspired by A Christmas Carol, it's actually gone above and beyond. So this is of course about a diva called Ebony. She is essentially a singing superstar. She used to be in a girl band. One thing happened, or a couple of things happened. She then went on to have a very successful solo career, but she is self-centered, demanding, full of herself, thinks everybody should bow down to her and worship her and, tend to her every need. And after she is basically saying that her staff cannot have Christmas Day off, she is visited by 3 ghosts. And they are designed to help her show the error of her ways. And the special effects here are brilliant. Now, they're nothing completely over the top, but I've never seen a reasonable budget contemporary film actually make the ghost of Christmas Past look translucent. There's a point, I don't want to spoil too much, but she puts her hand out. It's her former bandmate who died, and she puts her hand on her, and you can see her hand through the body. And it's obviously quite a simple thing. Sci-fi films and horrors do it all the time. But for a film like this, I've never seen it done before, and I was just really genuinely impressed, and that sort of thing happens a few times, and I really like that. The reason this is also above and beyond is that they don't hold anything back with Ebony. She is without question the nastiest of all of the Scrooge characters I've seen in a film of this nature, except, of course, maybe Scrooge himself. And it got to the point where I was just outraged by what she was saying and her reactions to things, and really, they took her very far. And I'm really pleased with that, because sometimes films will just make them a little bit anti-Christmas, or, they're just not wanting to spend time with their family, they want to be alone, don't want to get into the holiday spirit. But actually, Ebony is nasty, really nasty. She is words that I cannot say on YouTube. And I really thoroughly enjoyed her, Vanessa Williams' performance. The musical aspect, when we get to see her performing and the band's performing, kind of enjoyed. They sing 1 Christmas song, I believe, maybe 2. The rest is their own music, which is interesting enough, but if that wasn't in it, it would have been just as enjoyable for me. But certainly it adds a little something to it. With regards to it actually being quite festive, not much in it, but then that's usually the case with A Christmas Carol. The Tiny Tim aspect, which I won't divulge too much, did have me choked up a little bit. Don't worry, it's not like massively depressing or anything. It's not going to ruin your positive mood. If anything, it will improve your mood, because it's quite an uplifting development for the narrative. Also, Kathy Griffin is the ghost of Christmas Past, which I loved. I thought she was fabulous, and she's just an absolute delight to watch performing. I can't really falter. And yes, when I said it was the ghost of Christmas Past, who she could see with through translucently, it was not. It was the Marli Jacob character, which I won't go into any more detail about. Thoroughly enjoyed it, a lot more than I thought I would. With regards to the critical reception, the overall rating on IMDb is 6.3, which is a really generous rating for this kind of film. Christmas Carol spin-offs and parodies tend to get rated quite poorly. Not all of them, there are some exceptions. This one being one of them. And I have to agree with the rating. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. It'll never be a Christmas tradition. I'm not going to watch it every year. But if I have the opportunity to watch it again for whatever reason, I'll happily do so. A Diva's Christmas Carol is a lot of fun.